guys, it's Kira and welcome to another vlog. Today is Friday the 16th of October and this evening is the start of the Fall Into Autumn Readathon, which is a weekend-long readathon that I'm hosting alongside two of my friends, Em from the channel A Little Writer Em and also Meg from the channel Pride and Fiction. We all love autumn so much and just think it's the best, so we decided to get together and create this weekend readathon all about autumn. So as I said, it's a weekend readathon, which means that it's starting this evening, Friday the 16th of October, and going through until Sunday evening, which is Sunday the 18th. And essentially this weekend is just all about making the most of autumn, getting cozy and just enjoying this season. And so we have created a very chilled out readathon. There are only 2 prompts which are about books, but the rest of the prompts are all about just cozy autumnal activities, and essentially you can just make of this weekend whatever you want to, and it's all about just indulging in any activities that fill you with that cozy autumn spirit. So that might be reading, lighting candles, baking, drinking pumpkin spice lattes, having a bath, doing a face mask, literally anything. And so I am very excited for what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of days because I am so in the mood for a cozy weekend. Now the readathon officially starts at 8 PM tonight and it is currently only about 5 PM. I just finished work, but I wanted to check in with you and introduce this vlog basically whilst it's still light, because the one downfall of autumn is that it gets dark very early and I didn't want the vlog to be introduced in the darkness because although that might be cozy, it's just not very good lighting for filming. And so I just finished work for the evening and I'm actually just about to head out for a gym session. That'll take me like a couple of hours, I'd guess, and then when I get home, I'll obviously jump in the shower, put on pajamas, and then I will be ready to get cozy. So I'm going to be catching up with you later on this evening when it will definitely be much darker, and we'll get started on all of the fun cozy activities.
Thoughts are too big. Can I get some comfort, please? I guess I should have been honest. It breaks in my heart. It's weighing me down, baby. I'm like a river that's overflowed. The sooner you know it, the less do we hurt. Let me speak the truth. Face it, you think it's too late, but I can see past the rain. Won't you let...
So it is now Saturday, which means it's the first full day of the Fall Into Autumn readathon. Last night when I got back from the gym, I can't say that I did that much falling into autumn because I didn't end up reading any books or doing anything else really, except for falling face first into a delicious mug of hot chocolate, which was topped with vegan whipped cream and the best vegan marshmallows ever. I actually did a taste test of those marshmallows a couple of weeks ago now in a vlog that I did right at the beginning of September, and they are the Marks & Spencer's Plant Kitchen vegan marshmallows, and they're quite a new release and they are so good. So I highly recommend them if you are in the UK and able to get them. And then after drinking that, which was just the perfect start to this readathon, because although it wasn't anything to do with reading, it was the coziest way to start the weekend, and that is really what this weekend is all about. And I just love hot drinks all year round, but especially once that weather is getting colder, it's just the best. And then after drinking that hot chocolate, I pretty much straight away allowed myself to fall straight into bed for quite a well-deserved long night's sleep, because I was feeling pretty tired and wanted to make sure I was well rested and energized for the rest of this weekend. Now that it's Saturday, I have actually been to the gym this morning for a leg day, which was great. And now I'm back and ready to get started properly on this readathon. I actually have some fun plans for the rest of today, which I'm really excited about. But first of all, I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update about what I'm going to be reading this weekend. As I mentioned yesterday, there are 2 prompts about reading for this readathon. And those prompts are to read a book which has an autumnal cover and to read a book which represents your autumn aesthetic. So that could either be like dark, spooky and creepy, or really warming, cozy and just like lovely. And so I have 2 books for this weekend that I'm hoping to get through. You can buddy those like 2 prompts up though and just read 1 book, but I'm going to be trying to read 2, or at least reading some of each of them. So the first book is one that I'm already partway through, and that is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This is because I'm actually hosting a read-along of Rebecca this month. It's called Rebecca Long, and I'm hosting it alongside Jess from the channel Read by Jess, because there is a new Netflix adaptation of this book coming out next week, and I am currently 106 pages into this book and it has just over 400. So I really need to get a wiggle on because I need to finish it by Wednesday. So I really do need to read some of this, or quite a lot of this book this weekend. And I'm using this one for the prompt of reading a book which represents your favourite autumn aesthetic, because this book really does combine so many of the things that I love about autumn. Daphne du Maurier in general, I would say, has a writing style that is super dark and atmospheric, and at autumn time I really do gravitate more towards those dark books, but it's not a particularly scary book. There's no horror, it's more of a mystery, and it's just a very dark and all-encompassing book, and I love those books that manage to just create this really intense and encapsulating atmosphere, and for me this just feels like autumn. So although this isn't a book that's actually set in autumn time, I think the darkness and mystery surrounding the subject matter really do give it those autumn vibes in my opinion. And then the other book I'm picking up is going to be Flowers in the Attic, and I'm reading this one for a book that has an autumnal cover, and again I'm going down the like dark and spooky route here because this is a very dark cover, and then the back also has like this like almost ivy sort of thing going on around the edges, and it just looks like such a gothic cover that I absolutely had to pick it up for this one, and I'm really excited because this one is going to be a very dark book. It's about a group of siblings who are basically put in the attic by their mum, and they end up living in this attic for years and years and years, and lots of other dark and creepy things are supposed to happen. And the front of this book says beautifully written, macabre and thoroughly nasty, which I think sounds incredible. So these are the 2 books that I'm hoping to read this weekend. Like I say, don't know if I'll actually finish both of them, but I'm definitely going to be making a start and hopefully just enjoying getting cozy, drinking as many hot drinks as possible, and enjoying these books. But I did mention that I have some other plans this weekend, and reading is going to happen later on today because I'm actually just about to head out to meet Em, who is one of the 2 co-hosts of this readathon along with me, and we're going to go for coffee, which is always a good idea, and hopefully some food as well because I'm pretty hungry after that leg day at the gym. So I'm heading out to go and meet Em, and I will catch up with you once I get there and we decide where we're going to get some food and drinks.
Lay it on me. Turn the page and burn it. Let's make.
Do you say scum?
Do you say skirt?
Yeah.
Up a big bonfire on the beach with the stars as our lighters, and throw our problems in the flame. Throw our problems in the flame. We fell down to the bottom. So bottom up, please. We're gonna get over this. I see the smoke in the mirrors. I'm holding the key, one step away from salvation. You're like the ocean, setting me free. Out in the open, I'm picking up speed. No breath.
Okay, so I'm back from York. It was, as always, really lovely to catch up with Em. We had such a nice time, went for lunch which was delicious, and then just had a little wander around, and York was looking so autumnal and beautiful, so that was great. And now that I'm home, I'm pretty much ready to jump into the reading portion of this readathon. But before I do, I actually have quite an extensive haul of things to share with you, so I thought I would just do a big old unboxing and haul. So first of all, Em was kind enough to lend me her copy of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, which is of course one of the most popular books of the moment. Everyone is talking about it. It wasn't necessarily on my radar, not for any particular reason, just because I didn't actually know that much about it, and I haven't read a huge amount of V.E. Schwab, so it wasn't like a must buy for me. But Em said that it was one of the best books that she's read this year, so that made me really want to read it. So she has lent me her copy, and it is a really gorgeous cover. So I'm really excited to read this one at some point soon. And then, as always, Em and I couldn't resist a little trip into Waterstones, and I ended up picking up 2 new books. So first up, I got The Love Square by Laura Jane Williams. This is a signed copy, which is always nice. And this one says, 2's company, 3's a crowd, 4's complicated. And it's basically about a main character who is unlucky in love, and then all at once 3 guys that she really, really likes and that like her come into her life all at once, and it's basically about that complicated situation. So I'm really looking forward to this one, and I feel like as I've been in a little bit of a reading slump lately, some light-hearted, easy-to-read romances are exactly what I need. And with that in mind, both Em and I actually picked up In the Time We Lost by Carrie Fletcher, mostly because of how beautiful the cover is, because I love it, but also because it sounds like another wonderful romance. This one is about a girl who is feeling a little bit lost, ends up going off to a remote Scottish island in order to finish writing a book, and then she's trapped there in a snowstorm, and because of that there's some romance and things going on. And I was really drawn to this one because last Christmas I read a book which was set on a remote Scottish island at Christmas time, and it was all about romance and that kind of thing, and I really liked that kind of enclosed small community setting for a romance, so I'm really looking forward to this one as well. So those are all the things that I've gotten myself. I've then been sent a couple of things. So this first one I believe is from someone called Joy, but I think I'm going to open it just to double check before I delve into what I think it is.
No.
Yes! Jay has an issue with my mug addiction, but it is a really cute Stars Hollow Autumn Festival mug, which is perfect for the Fall Into Autumn Readathon. So Joy is someone who got in touch with me via Instagram. She has an incredible Etsy shop which has loads of really cute Gilmore Girls mugs, as well as some mugs and things themed around other shows, and she also has other products I think that are not mug related. But she offered to send me this mug, and I just absolutely love it because I haven't actually got any autumnal mugs, and this is so cute. So I will be linking her Etsy shop down below if you want to check it out and see all of her lovely products, but this one is just adorable and I love it. And then the other very exciting box that I've been sent has come to me all the way from Germany. Another wonderful subscriber called Judith. I hope I'm saying that right. She also has a YouTube channel which is Beauty Can Cam, which again I'll link down below, but she is from Germany and she offered to send me she offered to send me a box of vegan sweets from Germany. So I'm going to dig into the box and see what amazing goodies she has found, because honestly, you may or may not know, but I love Germany. Jay and I have been in the process of trying to learn German for quite some time now, but we love Germany. It's such a beautiful place. We've been to a couple of towns there and just absolutely love it. And Germany is really great in terms of its vegan options, so I'm very excited to see what we have in this box. Oh, that's so sweet. She's actually sent me a letter written in German so that I can practice. So she said, Kira, I wrote you a German letter so you can practice if you have trouble understanding sentences. She's recommended a website to translate. So, Dankeschön. Oh my god, look at all of these treats. I'm so excited. Okay, so I might taste some things now, but I don't think I'm going to open everything. So first up we have these sour Katzen, which are like some sour cat jelly sweets, and I love sour sweets, so these are going to go down a treat. Looks like we've got apple, cherry and lemon flavour. They sound delicious. And we have some fizzy cola from Vegans. Vegans is a vegan supermarket which is based in Berlin, or they have a few in Berlin, but I think they have like their products in other shops across Europe and especially across the rest of Germany. And I loved vegans. We went to, how many times do you think we went to them when we were in Berlin?
5.
We went, yeah, at least 5 times in 1 week because it's such an exciting shop. And then some of these UFOs, we do have these here and they're always a great treat. I think they're just a delicious snack. What is this? Browser bonbons. They look like little Parma violets, but different flavours. Ooh! They look like love heart sticks, but not love heart shaped. Not one.
Yeah, I'll try not to rock like
Oh my god, those are good.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
Oh, they are yummy. Big fan. And then we have some power chai. I think it's a matcha and chai blend. We'll definitely be trying this out in this vlog. You know I love a hot drink. Then we have some, I can't even make out what that says. Give us, I can't read it because of the like. Oh, give us speculatius. I think they're basically like Biscoff biscuits.
Looks like it.
And they are my favourite type of biscuits, so I'm a big, big fan. We have Himbeeren bonbons, I think that's raspberry bonbons. Always good. And then a delicious looking calm and relaxed tea made with honeybush, lemon balm and hop. Which looks lovely. Again, I'll give that a try later. Vego bar, which is all across Europe and it is just the best vegan chocolate ever. And then actually I take that back because I choc white nougat crisp vegan chocolate. I got this when I was in Berlin and it literally tastes like the vegan equivalent of the inside of a Kinder Bueno, and I love this one so, so much. So I'm very, very excited about that. I might do a little taste test of the Sour Cats. What do you reckon? Grüne Apfel, Sour Kirsche oder Zitrone?
Äpfel bitte.
Goodish?
Dankeschön.
Oh no! Okay. Cheers.
Prost.
Prost. Oh my god, that's so appley. Oh my god. Mein Gott. Oh my goodness. Wow, that was incredible. I have loved receiving that box and I cannot wait to eat all of those sweets. They're going to go down such a treat. And they just made me more excited for when I can next go back to Germany. So again, I will be linking the channel, which is Beauty Chem Cam, down below, which I highly recommend going and checking out. And a big, big, big thank you again to both Joy and Judith for sending me these wonderful things because they have just made my weekend.
Thoughts penetrate. Hold me like this is the first time. Our destiny calls, not leaving this incomplete. Won't you lay it on me? Turn the page and burn it. Let's make up a big bonfire on the beach with the stars as our lighters, and throw our
Good morning guys, it is now Sunday and that means it's the last day of this readathon, which I'm really sad about because this weekend is so lovely and it seems to be just flying by so quickly. I feel like I've been very busy, which means that it's one of those weekends that just disappears before your eyes, and today is sadly not going to be any different because it's shaping up to be a very jam-packed Sunday. It's currently only about like 8:25 in the morning, but I'm about to head out to teach 2 yoga classes, which takes me up until about 11:30. 11. I then have a couple of coffee meetings, I'm going for a meal later, and I just feel like the day is already disappearing and it hasn't even really started yet, but it is what it is and we're going to make the most of it and enjoy the day regardless. Last night I did manage to make a start on some reading alongside a donut. I obviously bought 2 donuts, as you saw. Last night I had one of their Halloweeny donuts, which was a green donut filled with cherry jam, and then today I'm going to be having this Biscoff one and it looks incredible. And although that other donut looked a bit inconspicuous with its like green dough, it was really delicious, so definitely recommend. If you are in York or Harrogate, they have this called Dough Bakehouse and it's really, really good. They do vegan donuts as well as regular donuts, but I obviously got the vegan ones. And then last night I did manage to, yeah, like I said, totally went off on a donut tangent, but I did start reading whilst eating a donut, and I kind of threw out all of the reading plans I mentioned to you earlier in the day yesterday, and instead I picked up In the Time We Lost by Carrie Fletcher, which was obviously one of the 2 books that I picked up in Waterstones yesterday. I just couldn't resist it. They both sounded so good, and this one in particular, I just loved the cover of it. So I kind of just had to pick it up because it was so beautiful. So sorry to all of those other books that I said I was going to read, but this one just caught my eye. And I also felt like because I was a bit short on time for reading, that a romance would be a great idea because I usually find them quite quick and easy to read. And so far I have made it through 141 pages, and that was doing a little bit of reading last night and then also a little bit of reading this morning because I woke up quite early, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I don't necessarily feel like it's going to be like a groundbreaking favourite book of all time type of read, but it is just really lovely and heartwarming, and I feel like it's just going to be quite a fun romance. It's one where I already have quite a good idea about where I think it's going to go in terms of the romance, but that never seems to stop me enjoying them because I feel like romances typically are quite predictable, but that doesn't mean you don't enjoy them. And then I'm kind of struggling to decide where I'm going to place this one in terms of prompts for the readathon, because it obviously has a very wintry cover, so it's not going to be one that I can use for the autumnal cover prompt, but it is cosy and it is a heartwarming romance, so I feel like maybe this could go in for the autumn aesthetic one because it is like a very cosy read. It's also, surprisingly, despite having such a wintry cover, a book which is set in summertime, and it's about this girl, Luna, who I already mentioned, I think, when I explained the book yesterday, who is a writer. She recently left a long-term relationship and is kind of feeling lost and confused and doesn't know what to do, and she's also struggling with coming up for inspiration for her next novel, and so she decides to take herself off to this really remote town off the coast of Scotland, and she decides to kind of move herself up there in hopes of a new start where no one knows her, no one has any questions, no one feels pity or sympathy for her, and also hopefully she'll find some inspiration for her new book. But then on her first day there is a really surprising summer snowstorm that causes the village to be kind of cut off from everything else, and I feel like that is where the romance is really going to kick off. And so, on the whole, I feel like this is going to be quite a predictable read. I already have quite a good idea about where I think it's going to go in terms of the romance, but it's certainly not stopping me from enjoying it, because I just feel like sometimes with romances, they don't need to be groundbreaking, they don't need to be like the best book ever. As long as they're enjoyable, cute and fun, which this one definitely is, then they're good in my opinion. So I'm definitely going to be reading more of this later. Like I said, I have 2 yoga classes that I'm teaching this morning, but the first one finishes at like 9:45 and my next one doesn't start until 10:30, so I usually get to the second studio with a little bit of time to spare, so I am going to bring the book with me and hopefully fit in maybe like 15 minutes of reading before my next class, so then I might get a little bit more reading done, and then I will catch up with you when I'm out for coffee later on. Well, since I last spoke to you, I have gotten home from coffee, gotten straight into bed and continued on with reading in the time we lost. I literally just finished the book. It's about 6 p.m. currently, and since I last spoke to you, I have completely eaten my words. I described this book as predictable, which is because I think a lot of romances are predictable, not in a bad way, but they just typically are. But the ending of this book has shook me to my core. It was nothing like what I expected, and honestly it was kind of a lot sadder than I was expecting, which was maybe a little bit disappointing. On the whole, this book was really good. It started out a little bit rocky. I figured I was going to enjoy it because it was just going to be a light-hearted romance about a girl who was unlucky in love, finding love basically, which sounded like a lovely sort of premise for a book. The characters at first felt a little bit two-dimensional and not necessarily believable, which is again something that I feel like is quite common in romances because they are very like picturesque and idealistic, and so they don't necessarily have the most complex and detailed characters, which again isn't a bad thing, and that's kind of what I was expecting about this book. But then as I got through the chapters, it turns out that it was actually a little bit of a different spin on romance, and the book ended up taking the format of more of a Groundhog Day style of narrative where things kept happening over and over again and gradually causing the timeline to shift and change because of what was happening in each prior day, which was really interesting, and overall really enjoyed it. But I do have to say I wish it ended differently because the ending was so sad, and I feel like it tried to be hopeful and empowering, but I kind of just wanted the ending that I was expecting. So on the whole, I would probably give this book like 3.5 or 4 stars. I really did enjoy it, and it was a good one. I just wish that the ending was slightly different, but nevertheless would definitely recommend it because it was really unique and ended up being a lot better than I was actually expecting from the first few chapters. So I'm really glad, and also have finished a book during the readathon, which is always a good thing. Now, as I think I mentioned earlier, I'm having a meal this evening for my brother's birthday. Not going out, we're just getting a takeaway at home. But I cannot wait because we're getting a curry, and all I've eaten really today is like cake and pastries, which is delicious but not necessarily the most satisfying. So I'm very much looking forward to a proper meal. Got like a vegan curry, some rice, naan bread, samosas, the full shebang, and I cannot wait to eat it. However, the day isn't over, although it's 6 p.m. and I am going to be eating dinner for a little bit. I still have time to do some reading, and I am hoping to make at least a bit more progress in Rebecca later on this evening. So I will check in with you later on after food to hopefully get a little bit more reading done this weekend, but I'm so glad that I have at least finished one book. Well, as you might be able to tell from my slight change of hairstyle and outfit, it is now Monday, which means that the Fall Into Autumn Readathon is officially over. And so I'm sure it's not that difficult to guess that I didn't actually end up doing any more reading last night, but I did pick up Rebecca this morning between getting back from the gym and starting work, and I managed to fit in about 25 pages of this book, which has taken me to page 130 of my reread, and I am loving this book so much. Although it's a reread, so I am familiar with the overall plot of the book, there are so many little details that I'd completely forgotten about because it's been quite a long time since my last read of this book, and so it's really nice to come into a story that I am familiar with but also feel like I'm kind of experiencing it for the first time again, because it does feel very fresh and new and it isn't like completely something that I remember, and so I'm really enjoying this experience. Because I feel like it's kind of the perfect scenario where you roughly know what to expect, so I think you're more focused on those small details and yet you don't remember everything so clearly that it feels like you're just kind of going through the motions. Everything I'm still like absolutely loving, and it's just really nice to take in all of those details and experience the book another time. And I feel like there's not much I can say about this book without giving away any spoilers, because despite being a really tense and dramatic book at times, which has a lot of interesting things within it, it's also a book which I think is very much character focused rather than plot driven. And so whilst we're constantly focusing on these very intricate and complex relationships between characters and how each of those relationships impacts the character development of all of the other people surrounding them, there's also not much I can say without giving away key plot points, because it doesn't really have many major dramatic events, and yet it keeps up this constant level of tension almost from the part that I'm at now until the end of the book. If you're not familiar with this book, or you've not read it before, we essentially follow a nameless protagonist who, the fact that she's nameless is quite important to the book, and she is like a young girl, I think she's like 21 years old, and she isn't from a very wealthy family, and actually all of her family is dead, and so she's working as a companion to a much richer lady. And so they are in the south of France at the beginning of the book, and there she meets this very rich and mysterious charming man called Maxime de Winter. And we don't know much about Maxim because he is so mysterious and quite guarded, but one thing that we do know about him is that he was married previously to a woman called Rebecca, and that she passed away, and there's kind of a bit of mystery surrounding the exact circumstances of her death. But then our main character and Maxim kind of hit it off, they end up getting married, and then our character goes back with Maxim to his really fancy house in Cornwall called Manderley, and that is where the book really kicks off. So I'd say that the first 100 or so pages of this book are really the honeymoon period of the main character's relationship with Maxim. She's still very much getting to know him, and it feels very idealistic and all very romantic. And then now that she's back in Manderley and they are kind of interacting with everyone that Maxim knew before, and that of course knew his last wife, things start becoming a little bit less rosy, and our main character is starting to become very self-conscious about the fact that she feels like she's constantly having to live up to Rebecca and the standards that she sets. So it's a really interesting book and I'm loving it, and I feel like the part that I'm at right now is where tensions are really picking up, and from what I remember those tensions only increase throughout the rest of the book, so it's going to be a really interesting 300 or so pages that I have left to read. But I will of course be including that in my next vlog because the readathon is over, which means that it's pretty much time to finish this vlog off. I've honestly had such a wonderful weekend, and I thought that it would be fun to finish this vlog off by checking in with the prompts that Em, Meg and I set up for the Fall Into Autumn Readathon. So I had the little graphic on my phone, which I think was super cute, that we made for Instagram. So the first one was an immediate fail, which was read a book with an autumnal cover, which sadly I didn't do. The only book that I completed was In the Time We Lost, which, as I'm sure we can all agree, is a very wintry cover, but sadly not autumnal. Next up we had Do Something Cozy That Brings You Joy, and I think I ticked this one off tenfold because I did so many cozy things. Started off the readathon with a delicious hot chocolate, and that was the first of many delicious hot drinks, which are, in my opinion, the ultimate cozy thing. They just always make me feel so warm inside, and it's just amazing. So lots of hot drinks. Also had autumnal candles burning all weekend, did lots of reading in bed, which is so cozy. And one thing that I have been doing, which I guess is kind of controversial, so don't be offended if you're not the kind of person who likes this, but I have been listening to Christmas music all weekend and I am loving it. I've created myself a little Spotify Christmas playlist, and I have been listening to this playlist all weekend long, and I've been loving it, and Christmas music never fails to make me feel cozy. So I think I have definitely managed to tick that one off. And I'm so glad because I have felt so cozy this weekend, and that was really the main aim of the readathon for me. Next up we had to read a book that represents your autumn aesthetic, and I do think that In the Time We Lost can fit this prompt, because it's a very cozy book. It's really just like quite chilled out. It's set in a very like remote community setting, and it just feels quite cozy, and yeah, cozy is the word for this book. So I definitely feel like I'm going to use this one to represent that, although I'm not sure that I actually have an autumn aesthetic as such, because I enjoy both ends of the spectrum. If I'd have read a really spooky book, that would have fit this prompt for me, or a really cozy one, but this one definitely fits that one, I think. Then we had take an autumnal photo and share it with us on Instagram. Well, I haven't actually shared it on Instagram yet, but I do have a few autumnal photos which I'll pop up on the screen somewhere so you can see them from when I was in York with Em, and I was in a photo that Em has put on Instagram already, so I think I can say that I've ticked that one off. And then the final prompt that we had was definitely ticked off, and I've already kind of mentioned it, and that is to make your favourite autumnal drink. And I made plenty of hot chocolates, plenty of cups of tea, and drank plenty of chai lattes throughout these last few days, so I definitely managed to tick that one off as well. So, although it wasn't necessarily the most reading focused readathon, I actually am very pleased that I actually managed to finish a book in a weekend, because it's been such a long time since I've actually sat down and started and finished a book within the same like 24-hour period, and it was really nice to do that with this book. And overall, the main aim of this readathon was to enjoy the season and to feel cozy, and I absolutely did that. As I mentioned earlier in this video, I will be linking my co-hosts, who are Em and Meg, in the description down below, so you can go and check them out, because they are both wonderful, and it was so nice to be able to host this with them. And I really hope that if you managed to join in with the readathon, that you felt as cozy as I did, and if you didn't manage to join in, then I hope this video gave you some cozy vibes as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.